We're going to talk about the OCR and interest rates. Is the impact of the latest official cash rate cut evaporating as some banks start pushing up longer-term lending rates? Garth Bray joins me now from Business Desk at this desk.
Good morning,
Garth. What is going on? Because a lot of people think, well, the OCR's moving this way. Why are the long-term interest rates moving the other way?
Big questions going on there, right? But I guess banks are looking ahead and the money market's looking ahead. And so the banks are saying, look, the price we pay for money, the wholesale price effectively, on news and in the last 2 weeks since that OCR cut of 25 basis points has actually gone the other way by 15, 30, up to 40 points. And so that's basically people looking a bit further out, looking at the language that they heard from the Reserve Bank Governor on his last, previous one, on his last exit, what was talked about, where they saw, and they're now increasingly, I think, pricing in the prospect of hikes in the OCR, some as early as like May next year, possibly, maybe even in October, sort of like 20% chance of that, 40% later, depending on who you read and what you see. So they're looking ahead. And so as we're just trying to get to grips with the fact that this rate has dropped, people are looking to there. There's an argument in there that they could wear that cost and take it out of their margins, but I mean, that's probably one for their executives to try and answer. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd all love to see that, but it sort of feels a little bit too altruistic for a bank.
I do want to give a bit of a shout out to the Business Herald team and Tibshraeny particularly, because they picked this one the day after the OCR cut. If you've been reading that press, you would have known that this was foreshadowed, and I think it's a good shout to them for picking on that.
Yeah, absolutely, and everyone's trying to pick the bottom of the cycle so they can lock it in as long as you can. It sort of seems like you might have already missed that boat and we're heading to the shorter end. Or
hurry up quickly and take those things. And I guess that's possibly, others have sort of said, that's been part of the problem, is people have been trying to time the bottom of the market rather than maybe look at their own circumstances. And this is one of those costs if you try and time it.
Let's talk about generative AI. We mentioned this a little bit on the show yesterday. This is the move to agentic AI and it being able to do many more jobs, which means it has an impact on human jobs.
Right, and we're worried about this, but we're starting to see some data, and Dilipa Fonseca's been taking a look at this, and particularly, I suppose, at the impact on Gen Z, because they're the ones that are the new hires, the people that come out of school and high school and universities and so on, and there's sort of a growing body of evidence that they are going to be hit by this first and foremost. We're seeing some data out of the US that suggests that early career workers, 22 to 25, if they're in industries that are heavily affected by AI, there's been about a 13% greater impact in the relative decline of employment for them compared to people that are maybe in construction jobs where they're not necessarily as affected. So that's a bit of a canaries in the coal mine moment, as they're sort of calling it over there. And you're seeing some of the big firms that do consulting and so on, Boston Consulting Group and others like that, holding their entry-level, graduate-level salaries and so on flat for the last couple of years as they try to work out how many people they don't need to hire. We're seeing it here in New Zealand as well, the Institute of Directors, talking about, I think, something like over a quarter, 28% in the latest survey was saying that they are looking at how they can use AI to cut costs, which is kind of against what we've heard. It's an expansion, it's a productivity tool.
To help us do more, not do the same amount with fewer people.
Yeah, there are some places, I think in Australia they've been talking about law firms hiring more people because they need more people to monitor what the AI is producing. So there we go, but I guess it's a bit of an indication that maybe people won't necessarily go straight from a job, from a graduate career into a job. They might have to find some other things and get a bit of life experience first.
Yeah,
not sure where they get that from.
Life experience doesn't necessarily...
Doesn't sound like it's paying a lot, does it?
Paying the bills,
yeah, you're right.
Thank you so much, Garth. That is Garth Bray from Business Desk.